You want to know how to set up and organize OBS Studio like a boss? Well, this video is for you. Hey guys, Placebo Dan here. I just want to make a video on how I set up OBS and what I believe is the ultimate guide to setting up and organizing OBS Studio. So we're going to go through things like setting it up into portable mode, going through every single setting in the settings window, and then setting up all the scenes and the nested scenes. I will go into more detail into all that sort of stuff. So let's jump over to the PC and get all this set up for you. Now we're on the actual computer. The first thing that I typically do is create a streaming folder. So this is where you will keep all your images, all your overlays, all your sounds, everything for your streaming journey, and all your OBS, all your other streaming software that you use. This is where you will keep it. So I've already created one here. So within this folder, I've got an assets folder, which is obviously where all your images and stuff will go, all your sounds, all your overlays and all that stuff. And then I've got an OBS Studio folder. This is where you will install OBS Studio. I run OBS Studio in portable mode, which basically means that I can transfer files a lot easier between computers. So if I get a new computer, I can literally just copy the streaming folder and transfer that over to the new folder, and everything on my profiles, on my images and everything will go with it. So that's what I believe is the best way to organize your OBS when you first set it up. So to actually get OBS, in portable mode, you'll need to download the zip file for it. Rather than downloading the installer, which will just automatically install it in your C drive, you need to go to download here at the top, and then click on download zip right there. So once that's downloaded, it will go into your downloads folder, or wherever you save it. Once you've got that, you just open it up, and then you just copy these files over into that OBS folder, OBS Studio folder that you created there. Now you've extracted the files into your OBS Studio folder, now it's time to actually open it up in portable mode. So to do that, you'll need to go to bin, 64-bit, and then scroll down and find your OBS 64.exe. You right click that, create a shortcut, which will create this OBS 64.exe shortcut. You right click on that, click on properties. On the target link here at the end, -- portable. Just type that at the end of the target link. Click apply and OK. Now once you open OBS, it will pop up OBS in portable mode, which you can see at the top here. Now we're in OBS Studio. The first things that I normally do is go through my settings. So to go through settings, you click on either settings at the bottom right, or you can click on file settings. Now once your settings are loaded up, scroll down a little bit, you'll be on the general tab, scroll down a little bit, and then you find snap sources to horizontal and vertical center. This is the first thing that I normally set up. So this allows you to snap images or any sources to the horizontal and vertical center of the axis. So I'll just show you what that looks like when you actually set it up. So I'm just going to create a color source. We'll just keep it the default color. I'm just going to create it to be a small square, which is 500 by 500. And then when you move it towards the center, it will snap. There you go. It'll do the same for the horizontal axis as well. So it allows you to center your things a little bit easier when you're wanting to center it. Rather than right clicking, transform, and then center vertically or center horizontally, you can literally just do it on the screen there. So that's on the actual center vertically there, so it's not moved. So it just makes it a little bit easier and a little bit quicker, centering things on a vertical or horizontal axis, so it just makes it a little bit easier. That's the only thing that I go through on the general tab. Next tab I normally go through is the stream tab. This is where you connect your Twitch account. I'm not going to connect it because I don't need to, because I'm not going to be streaming on this OBS. So basically the way that it works, you literally just click connect account, it'll ask you to log in, and then you log into your Twitch account. So now you've connected your Twitch account to your OBS Studio. The next step that I normally go to is the output tab, and the first thing that I normally do on this tab is go to output mode and change that from simple to advanced. Once you've done that, you'll have a bunch of settings that you can tweak to your need, and you will be able to set this up to however your computer and your internet can handle. I'll have a link in the description below which will give you a basic understanding of what settings to use based on your system settings and what your internet and your computer can handle. Everyone's different, so these settings that I normally set up might not work for you. It works for me perfectly fine, but for you personally it might not work. So once you're on your output tab, first things that you need to go through is your encoder. So change it to X264 if you've got an NVIDIA card. Use NVIDIA NVENC. Basically the GPUs have got a dedicated encoding chip, so it allows you to still be able to game and stream and record at the same time without taking much of an performance hit. So you click on that one, you keep your rate control to CBR, which is constant bitrate. I set mine to 6000, which is the maximum Twitch can handle, and my internet's perfectly fine for that, so my internet and my computer can handle that. Keyframe interval, this does depend on the content. A lot of the time people have it as 2, but you can have it as 1 or 2. 1 is best used for faster paced content, so if you're playing FPS games or COD, well, COD is an FPS game, or like racing games or anything like that, put it as 1. If you're playing slower paced games, so like World of Warcraft, MMOs, anything like that, Sims, put it at 2, so that keeps it a lot more, like a lot better quality for them types of games. Preset, I typically keep my preset as P6 slower, and that just gives my computer enough to be able to provide the best quality possible. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but this is the one that my computer prefers and the best quality for it. Tuning, keep that as high quality, because obviously you want the highest quality possible. Multipass mode, keep that as 2 passes quarter resolution. Again, I don't know what it means, but that's what I found the best setting to use. Profile, keep that as high. Untick look ahead if it is ticked, and tick psycho visual tuning if it's not ticked. GPU, keep that as 0, unless you've got 2 GPUs, then set that as 1, because you'll want to use your second GPU as your encoder rather than using your main GPU, but most people only have 1 GPU, so just keep it at 2. Max speed frames, keep that at 2. So the next step after all that is your audio tracks. I'm just going to briefly explain what each of these settings mean. So audio track, which is the first top one here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is what your stream will hear. So if you put all your audio sources on track 1, your stream will hear everything. Twitch VOD track is what you want your Twitch VOD to play and hear. So if you want to have a specific audio source not play on your Twitch VODs or clips, then you can set this up to obviously take that from your VODs. I set this up as track 6 because that's one that I never use, apart from this one. That's everything there. I'll go through the advanced audio properties and how you can select specific audio sources within track 6 and things like that as well, a little bit later on. The next tab is recording. Because you're not gonna, this is strictly for streaming, I'm not gonna go through anything on the recording tab, but typically it does look exactly the same as the streaming tab, minus the bitrate and the preset. That's the only thing that I'd normally change on there. Audio tab, I think Twitch has started accepting 320-bit audio, so I just normally set all that up to 320-bit. For every single audio track. It doesn't really make a difference. It doesn't affect your streaming quality. It doesn't affect much in regards to it. I don't use replay buffer, but basically it's what a lot of people use for like instant replays, like a live replay on things. So this is where you'd set that up if you did want to set up like an instant replay and that sort of stuff. I personally don't use that, so it's not something that I'll be going through on this video. So the next step is another audio tab, and this is where you can set up all your audio devices through this set window if you want to. I actually set mine up a little bit differently, and I use them all in a scene rather than setting them up through this. I just find it a little bit easier to control where I want things, different levels and things like that as well. So I normally disable these instead, and I'll go through how I normally set up my audio tracks and things like that a little bit later on as well. Video tab, this is an important tab as well. So this is where you want to set up how your stream looks to people and how you want your stream to look for you. So base canvas resolution is typically your resolution, your screen resolution. So my main screen that I play on is a 2560 by 1440. So it's a 1440p resolution, so that's what your base canvas should be. Output scaled resolution is what you want your stream to see. So because my internet and my computer can't handle it streaming at 1440p, you typically don't want to stream at that resolution anyway, because Twitch can't handle it. I normally drop mine down to 864, depending on the content that I'm wanting to play. So if I'm wanting to play FPS games, this resolution is pretty good for FPS games. You're not really going to be losing much quality, and it's still a 16:9 ratio. Because I'm downscaling, so downscaling filter, if you've got a 1080p monitor and you're streaming at 1080p, which is possible, downscaling filter, you will not be able to select this. So if I select my native resolution, if you look, it says resolutions match, no downscaling required, because you're not downscaling because you're streaming at your native monitor resolution. So because I'm actually downscaling, because that's not my native resolution, it needs an option there. So you want to choose length source, because that gets the most samples and it's just a better sampling quality, and you get better and sharper images. So if you're wanting, if your PC can't handle that, then just drop that down to by Cubase, which just lowers it down. Just might be a little bit blurrier. Common FPS value, I stream at 60 FPS, so I drop down and choose that at 60 FPS. Again, if your PC can handle streaming at 60 FPS, 1080p and whatnot, choose 60 FPS. You're going to get the best and smoothest quality. Just click on apply, just to obviously secure them settings in. Okay, so you can set up hotkeys. So if you don't have a stream deck or anything like that to control your stream, you can set up hotkeys. So these are like keyboard shortcuts where you can actually set up to switch scenes, anything like that. I don't use them. I use something called Touch Portal on my phone, which I can go through in the future. Next step is accessibility. This is where you can change colors of different parts of the stream. So if you want to change obviously different colors of the actual stream, you can set it up all here. I don't personally change anything, it stays the same as default for me. Anything on that advanced I don't touch, so everything there is all default. Okay, now we've got our settings done. The next step is to create each individual scene that we will use. The way that I do this is I break it up into 3 separate sections. So I've got my main scenes, my AFK scenes, and my nested scenes. So nested scenes are basically scenes that you want that have a lot of other things in it that you want to nest within another scene. So for example, you've got your webcam scene with your camera in there, and then you've got your just chatting scene with your camera scene in there. And then you can use that camera scene in every single scene that you want to, and it'll not affect one another. So to set that up, the way that I normally do it is I create dividers to actually break up each individual scene collection. So to start with, I just rename this default scene just to main scenes. And then once I've created that divider, I create another one which is called AFK scenes. And then I create another one which is called nested scenes. And then under each divider, I have other scenes, which is basically the scenes that I want the stream to see. So within main scenes, I've got just chatting, which is my just chatting scene. Drag that up to move scenes. You can either just drag it underneath the main scene, or you can use your arrows to move them up and down. As well as just chatting, I've got a game scene, which is where my gameplay will be, which will also include my camera and other things. And then I've also got a desktop scene, which is where my desktop will display. So if I want to go on like a web browser or anything like that, want to do something within Photoshop or anything, that's where I'll do that in. So that's the scene that I'll use. Underneath my AFK scenes, this is the scenes where you're not at your computer essentially. So your starting soon scene, your be right back scene, or your ending stream scene. So they're the scenes that I actually create within the AFK scene divider underneath that. So we'll start with a starting soon. If I could spell, starting soon scene. We'll move that up there, and then we'll do a be right back scene. Again, cannot spell. Move that up there, and then we'll do an ending stream scene. Within the nested scene, so again, as I said, this is the scenes that you want to embed and nest within other scenes. So this is the scenes that you don't necessarily want to switch to or anything like that. You just use these to embed in other scenes. So that's, for example, your camera, which is one that I use. Your audio, which is the way that I set up my audio. I set it up in a scene. And then you can use like browser sources. So rather than having browser sources in every single scene, you can just have browser sources in one scene and then just nest that scene within your other scenes. For me, I use StreamerBot for my alerts. I don't use Stream Elements or Streamlabs or anything like that. I use mine through StreamerBot. So through StreamerBot, you basically just use the images and the text files and things like that within OBS. I will do a future video on how to set up alerts within StreamerBot and OBS and how they connect together. That will probably be my next video. So for now, I'm just not going to bother creating an alerts scene because most people who's starting out streaming will not need that. They'll just need a browser source scene, which is where you'd put all your browser sources. The next step, once I've got all my scenes set up, is I will go on and set up on my audio sources, my audio devices. So the way that I do that is I've actually got a Go XLR, so that automatically splits all my setup within different sources. So it will split up my audio devices individually already for me. But you don't need a fancy audio interface or voice meter or virtual audio cables or anything like that if you use OBS 28 or above. OBS 28 and above actually has a specific source that allows you to catch application audio. So you can actually add application audio capture, and that will allow you to specifically capture the audio of a specific software. So that means if you want to play music, you can actually set up music and you can actually get it to run through Spotify directly rather than having it go through like an audio device, like an audio interface, and splits the audio for you. You can just do it all within OBS now. So if I add Spotify in there now and I play a song, which is the Ambient Gold by Stream Beats by Harris Heller, it will play on its own individual device. The next steps that I normally do is I add my microphone. So I individually add all these rather than going through the settings tab. I do it for all these. So my microphone is Broadcast Stream Mix, and for the Go XLR, it literally has just my microphone through it. The next steps that I would be doing is be adding Discord, so I can add that through this method. And so you add an application audio capture, and then you find Discord. So each software that you want to add on here, it does have to be already open to be able to add that software through this method. So just make sure all your games and everything are added already to make sure your stream can already hear it. The next steps after that is your game sound and your system sound and things like that. You can just add that through the same method as normal, so application audio capture. I run through, as I said, I've got a Go XLR, so all my system game sounds and things like that run through the system line within the Go XLR. So I'll just add that one just so you can see it all on there. Okay, now we've got all our audio devices set up, it's now time to split it up into different channels and prevent things from going onto VODs as well. So to do that, you click on the advanced audio properties, which is this cogwheel here on the audio mixer, and then you get presented with this window. What I typically do is untick everything on 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 channels. That basically leaves the first channel with everything on there. To stop things from going to your VODs, what I typically do is use number 6. So if you remember at the beginning, we on the Twitch VOD channel setting, we chose track 6, which is this track here. So I want my music not to go to my VOD, so I don't want my music to play on my VODs or my clips or anything like that. So all I do is tick everything apart from the music one, which is this one here. So once you've got everything ticked apart from your music, you can just close that, and that basically stops your music or any other audio source that you choose from going to your VOD. So once you've got all your audio set up, the next one that I normally do is I go through into my camera and I add my camera. So to add a source, again, you just click add the plus symbol there, or you can right click, add, and then video capture device. I'll just name this so it's set up on my phone, so I'll just do iPhone camera. I do actually have a normal camera, but it's currently recording, which is set up on an NDI. So I'll just select that. It's a very bad angle, and then we'll just stretch it to fit the full screen. So if you're wanting to put filters on your camera, don't apply it directly to this scene, this source. Apply it to the actual scene instead. That way you can always keep a clean copy of your camera if you want to. To set up your first scene, I'm just going to set up a just chatting scene. So as you can see, there is no audio in here, or there's no camera or anything like that. So because you've set them up all under nested scenes, all you'll need to do is just add that scene in this scene, and then it'll bring everything over. So if you just want to add your audio scene onto this scene, then all you'll need to do is just click the plus symbol, add scene, and then find your audio scene there, and then just click OK. And that's brought in all your audio that you've set up already. And then what you'll need to do is you just add your camera scene. So you've already got a camera set up here, so you can click add and then add camera, and there you go, your camera's in this scene. So as you can see, if I go to my game scene, that's all gone now, because them scenes are not within here and not in here. So if you want to do that again, you just literally do the same thing, add scene, and then add camera, and then you add again your audio scene. Put that at the bottom, and then everything's set up there. So to shrink down your scenes, your sources, all you'll need to do is just click on it, and then click on the square and drag. Then I'll just position it here. Now if you hold Alt and then drag on one of the sides, you can cut it off, so you can just display it as a square if you want to. Just position that there. And that's your first camera position there. So if I just go back to my just chatting, that's full screen. If I go to my game, it's now small. Then you can just add your game capture in here as well, which will automatically capture any full screen games. So yeah, that's how you set up your first game scene essentially. And then you can do the same again within your desktop scene, and then everything will be set up properly for you. Alright, and that's it. That's all your scenes set up. All you'll need to do now is just go through each individual scene and set up all your overlays and your images just to make them look how you want them to look. It's pretty easy to do. If you want me to make a full scene collection, to show you how I do it, just let me know. I will do that for you. Future videos I will plan on doing is going through like little plugins that I do use mainly through my stream to make it a little bit better and a little bit more organized. I will be going through setting up StreamerBot in future as well, and because I know a lot of people that I know do want them sort of things. They struggle with StreamerBot a little bit. So I do plan on going through StreamerBot, setting up alerts through StreamerBot and a lot of other things, the basics of StreamerBot, and just getting started within that. So if you like what you watch, please like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, do whatever you need to do. And thanks for watching. Bye.